morning and welcome to Coffee and Conversation. Thanks for joining me. I hope you're doing well and staying safe. Now, I remember when I was a child, every Saturday night at our home, we did the same thing. We would get a bath, we'd put on our pajamas, and then we'd watch the Bugs Bunny and Roadrunner show. The Roadrunner would rocket across the desert as the coyote zoomed along the highway close on the trail with his brand new rocket skates that he had mail ordered from the Acme Rocket Skate Company. He would come so close to catching him, but for some reason, no matter how hard he tried, the Roadrunner would always escape him, and the coyote would end up hurting himself in the process. There are times in my life, this week being one of them, when I felt like the coyote. It's like no matter how hard I tried, it just wasn't enough. And in the midst of everything that was happening, I found myself drawn to a passage in 2 Corinthians. I read that book often because the main theme of the book is encouragement. And I don't know about you, but I need to be encouraged all the time. In chapter 4, verse 1, it says, "Therefore, since through God's mercy, we have this ministry, we do not faint." Now, some versions say we do not lose heart, but I like this version because if there's one thing I'm an expert on, it's fainting. I've fainted countless times in my life, and let me tell you, it is a terrible feeling. All that's required for me to faint is the sight of blood. My first memory of fainting was when I was a little girl. I went to the store to get some candy, and the store owner, Saul, had cut his finger. When I saw the blood, I fainted on the steps of the store, and a man brought me home in his arms. I could tell you so many stories of my fainting episodes since that time, but suffice it to say, when Paul says don't faint, I say amen. It's not good to faint. Now, of course, in this context, Paul is not talking about losing consciousness. He's saying don't get to the point where you are so discouraged that you can't go on, that you lose your hope and you lose heart. I looked up faint in the dictionary, and what I found was very insightful. There are actually 5 definitions. It says lacking strength or vigor, feeble, lacking conviction, boldness or courage, timid, lacking brightness or a faint light in the gloom. Another one was likely to fall into a faint, dizzy, and weak. And the 5th one is to weaken in purpose or spirit. By those definitions, is anyone feeling faint today? You know, these are unusual and difficult days. Circumstances have come into our lives that we have no control over, and it can cause us to feel faint. You know, just a few verses down in 2 Corinthians 4, verse 8, it says, "We are hard-pressed on every side, but not crushed, perplexed, but not in despair, persecuted, but not abandoned, struck down, but not destroyed." That sounds to me like Paul is saying, no matter what comes your way in this life, don't faint. Like the Roadrunner, let's keep trying and never give up. I want you to be encouraged today. God bless you. Stay safe and let your light shine.